can be difficult sometimes to engage with art, and I think this is because we are somewhat programmed to stay only with our first impression of a work. I like it or I don't like it. Sometimes we might then get a small insight into the artist's story through an artist's statement or something we know or learn about them. We may also get some information about what others, mostly art critics, might have to tell us about it. And generally this would place the work within the wider context of art history. Very often though, this is very little to do with about engaging with the art on a personal level. In my mind, one of the inherent problems with galleries is that they appear to be predisposed to herding people along rather than allowing space for people to be in them, absorbing what we find there. I'm sure some galleries are better than others, but I think that our need to, and quite rightly so, protect ageing artworks has hindered our ability to engage with the art. We have channeled the fear of damaging art into a place where it is now difficult to allow the art to penetrate us. Instead, our art engagement stays quite on the surface. Treating art this way can make it seem out of reach, something apart from us rather than something that can speak into our everyday lives. To me, this is also compounded by the weird gallery atmosphere we regularly encounter, offering security guards intense silence, unusual lighting. Imagine though that we were to encounter art in a more comfortable place, somewhere that was inviting, somewhere we could lounge around and sit with the art, read a book for a while, have a cup of tea and come back to it. Would we know what to do then? Would it change how we engaged with the art? Would we allow ourselves to stay with the art for any longer period of time? Unfortunately, I think the answer might often be no, because in many ways we are so predisposed to instantaneously decide if we like the work or not and then move on, that we possibly now believe that this is the only type of engagement art wants from us, or that we want from it. How else might we engage with art though? If you've had some sort of art history or art appreciation education, then you might have particular ways of engaging with art, but this possibly centres mostly around the historical appreciation. While there's nothing wrong with historical appreciation, there is a lot we can learn from it, and I think that it greatly can inform our contemporary viewings of older artworks. I'd like to explore what it might be like if we allow the art to speak directly to us, if we are open to how the art makes us feel, about what it reminds us of and what it causes us to think about. How might we engage in this way? Alain de Bono, forgive me if I have mispronounced that, has some very interesting thoughts about art, and some of them centre around how galleries are commonly set up. He's recently been involved in encouraging galleries not to arrange the works chronologically but rather by theme. And he recognises that this is something that, in the past, many churches have done. This can be seen especially in old cathedrals in Europe, the ones who were great art patrons. He makes this point that you don't tend to find art hung chronologically in these churches. Instead, it is very specifically by theme. You walk through an archway that is adorned with sculpture and relief that encourage you to reflect upon entering the house of God, into the nave which would draw you further still in towards the main altar at the apse where the priest stands. The cathedral layout is traditionally in the form of a cross, and it has glass-stained windows and houses many reliefs, sculptures and paintings, all with the aim of drawing people towards God. There is possibly also a Way of the Cross Passion series that you can follow, or a separate area that is for personal prayer and contrition. In each of these, again, the artwork is themed. It is there to encourage you to remember God, to engage with God, to pray, to think on Bible stories and about people of faith who have come before us. Now, I don't see every gallery changing how they set up just to accommodate this idea, but I think the intention can be very important for us as we attend galleries and view art. Before I go too much further, there is one other area of discussion and sometimes disagreement about galleries, and that is about the amount of information you are given alongside a work of art. Sometimes you are given simply the title, the artist, the date, the materials. Other times you're given a small essay. This may help us engage more fully with the work by giving us some insight into the artist's thoughts or ideas behind the creation of the work. But at times this may also distance us from the work, because rather than offering us a way to engage personally with the artwork, it gives us information and makes us think about how we should engage with the work, rather than providing an opportunity or a way into a discussion with it. If you have the opportunity to go to the NGV, you can see that Alain de Bono has been involved in setting up an art therapy tour within the already established permanent gallery that invites people to view art as a form of personal therapy. This is done by offering short reflections on a number of works that engage the theme of the work, rather than the historical details. It is this idea that I'd like to encourage in general with viewing art. Not just as art as therapy, but that art can actually speak into our lives if we are open to it. But this means being open to feeling what we feel about the art and then exploring that further, considering the ideas and thoughts that it prompts within us, being open to different perspectives, to exploring minute detail, and standing back to see the vastness in full, to allow what might otherwise be blurry to become clear. What I think is most important here is that this all can take time. Much of it might be stimulated by the first couple of seconds of viewing, but then continues. Art both takes time to absorb and invites us to spend time slowly with it. Be encouraged by the beauty, rest in the peacefulness. Be challenged and wrestle with different ideas. Consider where others might be coming from. So I want to encourage you as you view art to remember that art is a sensual form. It invites us to engage with our senses, to feel and then consider what that feeling might tell us about ourselves. Be aware of how you feel. Even try to be aware of what has happened subconsciously. Are you suddenly all tensed and half turned away? Or are you relaxed and drawn forward? Does it draw you in or repel you? And what might this tell you about yourself? Does what you see resonate with you, comfort you, excite you, scare, amaze, challenge, confound you? Does it satisfy you as a work of art? Why? Why not? Do you think you and the artist would get on? Do you think they are someone like you? Do they have the same worldview? How might they be different? What does this work touch within you right now? Does it remind you of a fear that you have? Comfort in a busy time? Does it challenge you about your view of the world? In each of these, you can be satisfied with where you are now, or continue to go deeper. But the more you view the work, the more it will stay with you and come back to you at another time, reminding you of how you felt. If you are struggling to engage, maybe come at it from a different angle, even quite literally. Stand as close as you are able. Examine the surface. Walk back as far as you can, seeing how it looks from a distance. What are the differences that you see? All of this may or may not bring forward something different for you. But I think the important thing is that we are open to the possibility such a process may bring. Jump in and engage with the art. Ask more of it than the initial question of whether you like it or not, and see what happens.